Today I'll be showing you how to properly pick up and handle your leopard gecko. So at first it might be kind of hard just because they're not the easiest animals to pick up, and your gecko might not be a fan of it at first, but once you kind of get some practice with it and get more used to it, then it'll be easier to pick up your animal. So what you need to keep in mind is if your gecko is healthy, it's going to have a really fat tail, and that's because that's where they store all of their fat. So different animals kind of store in different places.
It'll go right to your thighs.
My thighs?
Geckos put the majority of it in their tail. Now, that being said, they're also able to drop their tail. So if there's a predator that tries to grab them or something, they're probably the gecko's gonna be running away, and then the predator will grab at its tail, so they can actually drop their tails. And this can actually be really dangerous for geckos, or for leopard geckos that is. It's not as dangerous with some animals, but leopard geckos, because that's where all their fat and nutrition is, it's more dangerous. You can have them grow it back, but it takes a lot of care, so you just need to make sure you pick them up without making them drop their tail. Okay, so Goldie, my gecko, he's in this little plastic humidity hide, and so the first thing you need to do is kind of just get your animal out in the open. So if it's under one of these hides, you can just pick the hide up pretty easily. Just do it carefully and stuff, but since he's under here, I can just take the top off. So when you're picking up your gecko, you want to do it kind of slowly, but not too slow. You don't want to kind of stress them out as you're picking them up. So, and then while you're doing that, make sure you don't like squish them or squeeze. You just very carefully put a couple fingers under the belly, and then kind of get them to put their feet up on your hand. So each gecko will react to this differently, and then you can use your second hand to help support them, and then you can go ahead and lift them out of the tank. Okay, so now you've got your gecko out. He might start walking around, or she, so you probably want to have both hands there so that they have most support. If you're just starting out, you might want to sit down on the floor or in a chair, just so that if your gecko somehow falls, it's not as big of a fall. But since Goldie's more used to me, I don't really need to worry about that. So basically what you want to do is you don't want to try and control the animal too much. You want to let the gecko move around on its own in your hands. And again, you just need to stay really calm. And then you can see this tail. Goldie's more used to me. He's more okay with me touching his tail and his head. But you can just see how that's a big part of their body. And if it separates right there. And it's pretty gross, and it's going to be a big pain to make sure your animal stays healthy while it drops its tail. So be really careful while picking it up to not pull the tail or grab the tail, because each gecko will be more sensitive or less sensitive around there. So keep your gecko upright. You can just kind of have your hands there. He might just kind of keep walking around on them. You want to have as much support and as much platform as you can while holding it. So try and keep your hands flat, so your gecko has space to move around. So you can see he's pretty calm with it. I don't really need to worry about him. If you just first got your gecko, you probably want to wait a couple days before handling it so your gecko can get used to its new environment. But then after you've had it for a good couple days, you can just take it out and hold it in just little bits at a time. So maybe start out with 5 minutes, and then the next day another 5 minutes, and then maybe 10 minutes, so that just it gets more used to you, because you need to kind of get used to each other. So yeah, Goldie's really calm. Your gecko might not be this calm, but again, if it starts running away or kind of escapes, do your best to not go for its tail. Try and go for its mid-body, and also try not to go for the head. They can just not really like that, and you don't want to injure it in any way. But again, just keep having support open for it so it can walk around. And also what they might sometimes do, like you just sort of saw, Goldie just kind of backed up. Something looked like something startled him a little, so he tried to back up to get away. Just make sure you're keeping an eye on where it's going so that you can always have support ready for it. And yeah, it's pretty simple other than that. You just have to kind of practice with it, but you mostly just need to make sure you watch its head and its tail and go for its mid-body, not squeezing or anything, just being careful. Okay, so after you've been handling it long enough, or you think your gecko, it's time to kind of give it a break for a day, now you need to put it back in the tank. So you should also be careful while doing this. But it's pretty simple. You'll get the hang of it really quickly. Basically just like pretty slowly and calmly put your hand back into the tank, and then just put your hand down to where your gecko can reach. And then it'll probably walk off itself, and you can just keep your hand there until the whole gecko is off your hand, and then he'll go about doing his own business, and that's basically it. So yeah, this is pretty simple. There's not much to it. I just want to make sure you understand that the tail is very important with them, and then you also just need to be careful. But yeah, leopard geckos, they are definitely fun to handle, and it's pretty easy once you know what you're doing. So hopefully this helped you out, and if you need more info, just ask me. But yeah, that's it for this. I'm Alex, and thanks for watching.